Hey, Team Faith and Soul, thanks so much for catching this video. I really wanted to talk briefly this week about overall just team connection and, consistent connection, leading a team. And, I feel like that this is important to talk about because first and foremost, if you're watching this video, like I feel like it's important to really right out the gate, just be there for somebody. Like if you're personally sponsoring more than one person minimally, just, if you're sponsoring one person alone, I feel like it's important to, be consistent and keep in mind that, it's important for us to check in, with those team members. But more importantly, I do want to talk about, growing your team, right? If you have one person that you're already sponsoring, more than likely, it could be that you're considering or you're wanting to, expand your group, expand your team out. If that's the case, then, I feel like it's important, first and foremost, to, let's just say you're approaching somebody that is wanting to join, right? First off, I feel like it is important for one to honestly ask them, why do they want to join? Why do they want to be a consultant? What are their goals? I feel like it's important for even us, as leaders to not necessarily, it's not very black and white. You don't have to have like a permanent goal, but I feel like at the end of the day, it is important for us to have at least a goal in mind, whether it be for, the week or, if you want to think on a broader perspective, for the month, what is your monthly goal? For me, for example, because, we are leaders. So even not just me, but for us, your minimal goal really needs to be 500 PRV. The reason why I say that is because that's how you're going to max out your commission that you're making off of not only your own personal sales as a leader, or as a consultant, but also on top of that, hitting your, for one, your 25% commission, right? Because you're wanting to, you're already, past certified. So that means you're getting 25% commission on your sales every single month. But on top of that, you also want to reap the benefits of the commission that you're getting from your team. And how you can do that is first and foremost, making sure that you're hitting your 500 minimum a month, right? Because that's the minimum for us to hit to get into the area where we get paid a title. And then after that point, the bonus is the commission that you make off of your group sales and your team sales. But I feel like that's why it's important for us to have goals, right? So, for me, I personally have the goal every single month of hitting the minimum of 500 PRV. On occasion, or not even on occasion, honestly, it's for the most part, my goal is higher than that. But I always make sure every single month that I'm hitting no less than 500. But that's having that leader mentality, that leader mindset. I want to make sure, again, that I personally am maxing out, how much commission that I can get, that I can earn, off of my sales every single month. And how I can do that is making sure, first and foremost, locking in that 500 PRV. But you do want to talk to, your team members, and that may be even the ones that you're personally sponsoring right now, or the ones in the future. The ones that you're having communication with right now that have considered joining, they're on the fence still. You want to know, what their goals are. What do they want out of the business? For me personally, one thing that I plan on working on soon, and get with me if you want to do this as well, because I can definitely walk y'all through how to set this up. But I actually this week I'm going to work on personally setting up a Jot form. I do want to do a Jot form and send it out to new team members, because I really want to know like where, each team member stands, so anybody from this point on that I'm sponsoring, I want to send to them that Jot form link, because it's going to give me some basic understanding again of, what are their goals? What do they want to get out of the Scentsy business? Little things like that, little bits of information. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It's going to be super simple, but it's really going to let me know, are they a hobbyist? And that's fine, right? Do they want to do it part-time? Do they really want to go all the way and work this full-time? Are they not sure? That kind of thing. Because you have to have communication with your team members, right? To know, okay, this person only wants to, they've told me, I'm only going to order for myself. Maybe on occasion they'll share the link out with friends or family, but for the most part, it's really just for them, right? So that would be the type of team member that I personally would want to check on minimally once a month, but you don't want to necessarily bombard them, right, with information, because they're only shopping for themselves. So they really don't need to know, all the things that are happening in our business, right? Because at the time, they're only wanting to order for themselves, and we just don't want to overwhelm them. But at the same time, right, if you have somebody else that has expressed interest in, like, hey, I really want a supplemental income, or, I really want to, go, I know, I've shopped for myself, etc., but I'm really wanting to up my sales for whatever reason, that's the person that you really truly want to buckle down, right? And get to know, again, what are their goals? And that's the kind of type of person that you really want to have open communication with, and be on possibly, contacting them and touching base with them at least once a week. If for sure, hands down, more than once a month. It's not always about sales, so please keep that in mind when you are reaching out to your team members, because more than likely, whoever you're personally sponsoring, more than likely you knew them before they were a Scentsy consultant, before they joined you and you sponsored them. So that tells me, if that's the case, that there are other things that you can talk to them about, right? Other than just Scentsy. You want to make sure and reach out to them and say, hey, I saw, your kid just graduated, congrats on that. Or, maybe let's just say they purchased a new home. You want to reach out to them. Social media can for sure, hands down, do that for you. For the most part, majority of our team is on social. So if they're on like Instagram, Facebook, wherever the case may be, take the time to go check out their profile. Doesn't take that, doesn't take long at all. But just check up on them, scroll through their page. And, I love the fact that without even communicating to somebody, like sometimes I can see what's going on in their lives, their celebrations, the exciting things that are happening. Or if it's maybe the opposite, right? If maybe, they were doing extremely well in sales, they were showing up, they were consistent, you were, you had open communication with them, but then all of a sudden you didn't hear from them for a while. That's also the person that you for sure want to check in on, just to see, their well-being and how they're doing. Because at the end of the day, it's all about relationship building, a connection, and just going beyond sales in itself. Let's see. I don't want to, I'm actually looking at my notes, y'all, in case you can already tell. And there's some things that I actually have like written down as reminders for myself that's kind of irrelevant to you guys. Let's see. So one thing that you could possibly consider doing is, I know a lot of times, like, you guys have busier schedules. I know that you've got, kids are in activities. Some of y'all are going back to school. Some of you guys this is not your main job. And if you have all the things that are going on, do what works best for your schedule when it comes to connection and reaching out to your team members. For example, if you have the time next week to, you might want to consider, for example, meeting them for coffee if they live local to you. Or, a lot of times I know y'all, like with me, like we'll do FaceTime, or we'll do Zoom chats, or excuse me, Marco Polo. Whatever your team member is comfortable with, that's also where that job form is going to come in handy, because everybody has different love languages, right? And everybody's schedule is different. So sometimes, I know some of you guys are super busy and may not necessarily be able to, meet with me, right, during the month for coffee. Or some of y'all live out of state or out of town. And but you just want to make sure that with that open communication that you're having with your team members, that you are still connecting. It could be even that you do, if you have like maybe a Facebook group, chat, anything like that to where you're connecting with one another, I feel like it's really important. And two, for those y'all that have multiple team members, I even more so than that highly encourage something along those lines because, sometimes your team members may not necessarily know one another, right? And if you're super busy or you've got something going on, and let's just say, team member A has a question about a product and they're trying to contact you or they're trying to look it up online and they're having problems and they're having difficulty finding what they need, or they have a question, then if you have team member B who's in that group chat, right, or they've maybe met in person, what's really nice is that at that point they feel more comfortable reaching out to one another instead of, perhaps not having to bother you, right? And I think that's important to, again, you can do like that's going to naturally develop, I feel like, through having those group chats, through meeting in person. For those of y'all that live closer to me or well within like the Houston, Pearland, Pasadena area, a lot of times we meet about once a month, and that's actually something life, right? Life's been busy, but that's something that myself and another consultant friend of mine, Patricia, we try to create meetups at least once a month for us to meet up in person. Usually every other month training, and then if it's not training, then it's like casual, it's just for fun. But we try to do something like that once a month. That's something that I do highly encourage you guys, if your schedule allows, to participate in and show up. You don't have to stay for the full time, but I feel like it's really important just to pop in and say hello. Because there's something about being with individuals that have similar interests or that have similar like goals, right? Like if you're in line with someone else and your goals are similar, you not only empower each other more, but then you have somebody that you can lean on at the end of the day that maybe perhaps you didn't have before. There's just something magical that basically takes place. And I know that sometimes it could be that meeting with a group of people that you're not familiar with or that you don't know is uncomfortable. And, we sometimes can feel anxious. We sometimes can feel apprehensive to do that. And a lot of times just the very act of getting out into a busier place or with a group setting can be, a little scary. And I'll be honest with y'all, full transparency, I can turn it on and turn it off, but for the most part, my comfort zone is for me being like by myself, sometimes a homebody, but I don't mind going out in public to an extent, but like by myself. Like I thrive on things that I can do for just me. I don't mind doing group type stuff, but I would much prefer doing solo stuff. So if you didn't already know that, you know now. But because it's a lot, I get overstimulated with everything, multiple conversations, loud noises, having to pivot and change the conversation up every single time. And when there's just so many things that are happening all at once and my brain's having a hard time slowing down and processing it, then it just becomes so much. And then I need to decompress. So I totally get that if you are similar. And if that's the case, let me know. And you and I can meet, we can meet one-on-one. It doesn't have to be with the group. But connection's important. I'll tell you that, that's for sure. Same thing goes for somebody that has previously sold Scentsy that's wanting to reinstate. So if you have a reinstatement, what that looks like is that they can come back for free. Okay. Which is so awesome. I just love that. And they pick up wherever they left off. So what I mean by that is that they're either going to come back as more than likely going to come back as like let me think, essential or certified. So little refresher. If they come back certified, that means that they've already sold their first 1,000 in sales or more, and they come back certified, right? I have had a few people in the past couple of years that have rejoined and reinstated, and they actually still were essential, but I find that that's a rarity. Most of the time, they've already reached certified, so it'll just pick back up where they left off. Reinstatements are a little bit different, I feel like, than perhaps somebody that's newer. It really just depends upon the person. Like for me, for example, when I first joined, I had no clue what Scentsy was. So I was starting from scratch. So I had to learn everything. It was, fresh, basically a blank slate. But you figure if you have somebody that's a reinstatement, they have somewhat knowledge, um, like a little bit of what Scentsy is. They have an understanding of like, Scentsy standards, the pillars of Scentsy, Scentsy goals, who Scentsy is as a company, you know what I mean? But sometimes, depending upon when they joined, could determine their knowledge of the product. Like if you have somebody that joined, I don't know, 10 plus years ago, think about like all the stuff since you've been a consultant, that we've had that have been added into our catalog. So that's reintroducing new product to them. But yeah, that's important, because if you have a reinstatement, you really want to gauge with them, get an idea of, their knowledge, how much do they know, what you want to get personal basically, because it's important to be like, well, what didn't work before? If you don't mind me asking, why did you leave? What was the dynamic between you? How did you get your info? Did you get it from your team? Did you get it from your sponsor? Did you get it on your own? That kind of thing. But you also want to go back to what you would ask somebody that's newly wanting to join too. So, what made them join? And this also, I don't know if I said this already, but this isn't just for in case you're wanting to grow your team, that this also deeply pertains to your current people in your group on your team. I feel like that we're still in somewhat like the beginning of the year where there's no such thing as it's too late to ask these questions. Like if you haven't had this conversation with your team members, like I personally want to start making it a habit with you guys to ask these questions at least once a year, if not twice a year, like once every quarter, because I feel like sometimes our answers change. So like if I was to ask you now, what is your goal with Scentsy? I feel like that maybe 6 months from now, that could change up a little bit, or well within a year, change up. So if you have somebody that you're personally sponsoring, you're watching this video, this is a conversation I think it's important to kind of get the ball rolling on. I think it's important too, specifically with somebody that is a reinstatement, whether they're getting ready to join your team later on in the future, or if you have somebody currently on your team that just recently reinstated. I think that it's super important to celebrate and challenge them. Not too long ago, words are hard. Not too long ago, I watched a training with the On Consultant Tuesday training, which by the way, everyone has access to, little plug-in for that through your dashboard, through your workstation. But the other day I watched a training with the incredible Jackie Duran, and she talked about that. She said that when it comes to somebody that's wanting to reinstate and they're joining your team as a reinstatement, it's important to celebrate and challenge them, because again, we may not necessarily know the background of how it was before for them, right? And I feel like that, think about like how you feel when you get a happy mail from, whether it's me, your sponsor, me as your leader. If you maybe get a happy mail from somebody else, on our upline team, from your superstar director, Amanda, or, if you get something from Scentsy, or, whatever the case may be, a shout out, maybe your customer, tagged you in a post, whatever the case may be. If there's something like that, like think about like how good it makes you feel and how exciting that is. Like some of you guys received a text from me today, things like that. I feel like pump me up, fuel my fire. And I want to take that excitement and I want to celebrate those that are on, that are newly joining my team as well, because you never know, maybe they didn't get any of that, from their previous sponsor, their previous team that they were on. If they're a reinstatement, it also means that they no longer can qualify for the Shooting Star Award. And I know I was going to say it wrong, the Sensational Start. So Shooting Star and Sensational Start. I had to look back on my award. I'm like, what's it called again? But those two things that are no longer qualified for that because that's for new consultants only. And as we know, that's well within their first 90 days of being able to 30 days and then 90 days to achieve that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot set up goals for them, right? So for me personally, one thing that I want to start doing this year and on is that those that join our team and they reinstate, whether they came from somebody else's team or whether they were part of Team Faith and Soul and they reinstated, I want to celebrate them at their 500 mark and then their 1000 PRV mark, even if they were a consultant before. And that's something that I personally did this year for myself. Is I was like, you know what, I want to have that mindset. And I'm actually honestly starting to do this every catalog season. Is I want to have that mindset of being a new consultant. So in other words, the first day of the new catalog season, I want to have that mindset of, oh, I haven't sold anything at all, like ever, 0. And I want to set my goal for 500 and then celebrate that. And then I'm going to set it for 1,000 within my first 90 days of that new catalog season and celebrate that. It's the same thing for reinstatements. I feel like that it's important to celebrate those moments and those goals, because as most y'all should know, when you joined and you hit that first 500 and then that first 1,000, like that's a huge achievement, y'all. That's a huge achievement, because especially when you're a brand new consultant and you're coming back even and you're just like, I'm not even sure how this is going to go. And before you know it, you've hit that 500 PRV mark. That's freaking incredible. And that's worth celebrating. One important thing to also keep in mind, because this is something that I've really truly worked really hard on over the last 2 years with you guys with Team Faith and Soul, is that when you have somebody on your group or your team and you reach out to them, and let's just say you're doing this, everything we just talked about in the training today, let's just say you've reached out to your team members, you text them, you voice message them, and they don't respond. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I want to talk about that. It's perfectly okay if they don't respond. Okay. Don't take it personal. They're not ignoring you. Life happens. Life happens, right? My messages are on silent. Someone was to text me right now, I want to know it because my notifications are on silent always. That could be the case. We never know the circumstances. I think that's also important for us to, again, I'll reiterate, to go back on their social media accounts. Maybe perhaps then sometimes that can give us a little bit of intel, right? That something's going on in their lives. And just consider what they're going through their day-to-day life. Again, they could be, getting ready to move. They could be going to school full time. They could be a caregiver of a parent. They could be going through some personal struggles. We never know the case. I feel like that at the end of the day, if you're simply taking the time to connect with your team member and you're sending them out that voice message, or you're sending them not even happy mail, y'all, let's just keep it stupid simple. Let's just say voice message and or text, right? If you're just doing that and you're not getting a response, yeah, I understand it's going to suck. Like the feeling of not getting a response back. We're only human. But here's the thing. You did your job. That's how I feel about that. Like I tell myself, you know what? Check, done. That was on my to-do list. I did my job. Pat on the back. I reached out. It's okay if they don't respond back. They don't have to respond back, right? It's not their job. You're not their boss. You're just being a friend, right? You're just being a friend. You're being a mentor. You're being a friend. You're just helping, just a little reach out, right? A little olive branch just to say hello, check on them. And you did your job, right? And we can't force somebody to reply back to us. But I just think it's important, for us to have that connection with our team. And I don't know what the case is for y'all. I don't know if, you individually, do connect with your team members, whether it's through Happy Mail or text. Even if somebody's like posting on their social media handles, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you name it. interact with those. If you have somebody on your team, that maybe not, perhaps they're not like getting back with you, with your text or your voice messages, then go to their account and comment, interact with them. You never know, right? You never know what works for them. But at the end of the day, at the end of the week, make sure that you're connecting with them. Like I said, that's going to look different for all of us. Some of us have time to do it once a month. Some of us have time to do it once a week. It doesn't matter, honestly, when you do it. Like, God forbid you don't reach out to your team members the first week of the month. It's okay. It's okay. You could just do it, That's all I can say about that. Just do it. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. There's not the right time of the month to reach out to them. Just reach out. And you know what? If you're one of those that, let's just say, life has gotten crazy, life has gotten in the way, and you have not reached out to your team members in a while, and you haven't connected in one way or another, and you're just like, you know what, Megan, I just really dropped the ball. I just really dropped the ball. I have not connected with my team in a while, and I just don't feel like, I'm embarrassed. I just don't feel comfortable connecting with them at this point, because what if they're mad at me? What if they feel like I've ignored them? What if they don't understand? What if this and that? Here's the thing, you guys. We're all human. Again, we all go through things. And you know what? Life happens. We get busy. They're going to understand. They're going to understand. And if you feel comfortable enough, be transparent with your team members and let them know, hey, you know what? This last season, this last year was really tough. It was really busy. I'm so sorry that I have not reached out and talked to you. I'm here for you as your leader, as your sponsor, whatever the case may be. Just let them know, hey, I'm here. I'm so sorry. Let me know if you need anything. I'm a text away. I'm a phone call away. I hope you have a good night. I hope you're doing well, because that is going to mean a lot to them. It doesn't matter when you do it. It does matter if you do it, if that makes sense. But I hope you guys have an incredible day. Personally, as your sponsor and or leader, I will say the same thing to you. I'm here if you have any questions. If you want a video chat, let me know. We can definitely set something up this month or next month. Yeah, so just let me reach out if you have any questions, if you want to do a touch base, or if you just want to vent, or if you want to meet for a coffee. You know what? I'm there for it. We don't even have to talk business. We can just hang out, whatever the case may be. I love you guys, and I am here for you. I hope you have an incredible rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Bye, y'all.